I was halfway down Maple Drive when the call came through my car speakers at 8:06 a.m. The woman's voice was polite, too polished. "Mr. Harper, just confirming your travel party for the June 14th departure." I slowed the car without realizing it. The morning light cut across the windshield. "Bright. Too bright. You have one adult couple and one child listed. Is that correct?" I didn't answer right away. The engine idled at a red light for 37 seconds. I watched a school bus pass on my left. Yellow. Loud brakes. Children laughing inside. "I'm sorry," I said finally. "Can you repeat that?" Papers shuffled on her end. I could hear it. Crisp. Organized. "Yes, sir. Ryan Harper. Melissa Harper. And one minor. Ethan Harper, age 6. I gripped the steering wheel. The leather felt cold against my palms. "And no second child?" I asked. Silence for 2 seconds. Then she answered, "No, sir. Only one child is booked." The light turned green. I didn't move. A car behind me honked once. Then twice. I pressed the gas and drove forward slowly. My chest didn't tighten. It settled. Heavy. Like something sinking into place. I had done this for 42 years. Numbers. Patterns. Absences. Missing entries mattered more than present ones. That was the first thing my supervisor, Thomas Green, taught me in 1989. He had leaned over my desk with a cup of burnt coffee. Said, "Daniel, the truth is never in what's there. It's in what's missing." I remembered the smell of that office. Stale paper. Ink. Cheap carpet that held heat in July. I had been 30 years old. Thought I understood everything. I didn't. Not then. Not now. I turned onto Ryan Street at 8:19 a.m. The houses sat evenly spaced. Identical lawns. Fresh-cut grass smell in the air. A sprinkler ticked somewhere. Steady. Mechanical. I parked in front of their house and left the engine running for 12 seconds before turning it off. The silence after was immediate. Thick. I stepped out and walked up the driveway. The concrete was warm already. It would hit 84 degrees by noon. I knew that without checking. Habit. I knocked once. Then again. The door opened halfway. Melissa stood there. Hair pulled back. Phone in her hand. "Daniel? What are you doing here?" she asked. I looked past her into the house. The air inside looked cooler. Dimmer. "I got a call," I said. My voice sounded normal. Measured. "About the cruise." She shifted her weight. Small movement. Defensive. "Oh, that," she said. "We were going to tell you." I nodded once. "Who is going?" I asked. She hesitated for less than a second. Then answered. "Ryan, me, and Ethan." I kept my eyes on her. "And Lily?" I asked. Her jaw moved slightly. Not surprise. Calculation. "She'll stay with you," Melissa said. "It's just easier that way." Easier. The word landed flat. I stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. The house smelled like vanilla candles. Artificial sweetness. There was a faint hum from the refrigerator. Low. Constant. I heard footsteps upstairs. Light. Careful. "Lily. Where is she?" I asked. Melissa sighed. "Upstairs." "She's fine, Daniel." "You're overreacting." I walked past her toward the stairs. My hand brushed the railing. Smooth wood. Polished. I had paid for that renovation 2 years ago. $18,600. I remembered the invoice. I remembered thinking it would make the house feel like home. I climbed the stairs slowly. Each step creaked in the same place. Third from the top. Always had. Lily's door was slightly open. I pushed it wider. She sat on the floor. Crayons spread around her. A sheet of paper in front of her. She looked up when I entered. Her eyes were clear. Too clear. "Hi, Grandpa," she said. I closed the door behind me. "Hey, kiddo," I replied. I knelt down beside her. The floor was cool under my knee. I looked at the drawing. 4 figures. A boat. Blue water. 3 people on the deck. 1 figure off to the side. Small. Separate. I didn't ask what it meant. I already knew. I noticed things. That was always my skill. I had noticed how Ryan stopped mentioning Lily in conversations 6 months ago. I had noticed Melissa correcting people when they called Lily her daughter. Small things. Repeated things. Patterns forming quietly. I had ignored them. That was my mistake. I sat there for a moment without speaking. I could hear the sprinkler outside again. Tick, tick, tick. Life continuing. Indifferent. This was not confusion. This was not an oversight. This was a decision. Made over time. Reinforced. Normalized. I understood that now. Lily picked up a blue crayon and added another line to the water. Careful. Precise. "Grandpa." she said softly. Are they going? On a trip? I looked at her. 8 years old. Small hands. Steady. Yes, I said. The word felt heavier than it should. She nodded once. No tears. No visible reaction. That told me more than anything else. She had already processed it. Alone, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger. Not yet. Clarity. Clean. Sharp. The kind that comes when numbers finally balance. I stood up slowly. My knee cracked once. Age reminding me of itself. I turned toward the door. I needed to see Ryan. I needed to confirm what I already knew. Behind me, Lily's voice stopped me. Quiet. Certain. Grandpa, they said I wasn't part of the family on this one. I stepped out of the house at 8:41 a.m. The air felt warmer. Heavier. I did not go back inside. I walked straight to my car. The door shut with a dull sound. Final. I sat there for 9 seconds without moving. My hands rested on the steering wheel again. Same position as before. This time it felt different. Not confusion. Direction. I started the engine and pulled away slowly. The street looked the same. Identical houses. Trimmed lawns. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. I drove 2.3 miles to the bank. Same branch I had used for 18 years. Same parking lot. Same faded white lines. I parked in spot number 14. I always chose that spot. Habit built over time. I stepped out and felt the heat rise from the asphalt. It was already 82 degrees. The glass doors opened with a soft hydraulic hiss. Inside, the air was cold. Controlled. The smell of polished wood and paper filled the space. I could hear printers running behind the counter. Low mechanical rhythm. I walked to the service desk. A young man looked up. Maybe 25 years old. Clean shirt. Careful smile. Good morning, sir. How can I help you? He asked. I placed my hand on the counter. Steady. I need access to account 4472. Family allocation, I said. He typed quickly. His fingers moved fast. Practiced. One moment, Mr. Harper, he replied. I watched the screen reflect in his glasses. Lines of numbers. Rows. Movement. Data never lies. People do. I stood there while the system loaded. I could feel the air conditioning vent above me. Cold air brushing my neck. I noticed small things. Always had. The printer beeped once. Then stopped. He frowned slightly. Subtle shift. Is something wrong? I asked. He hesitated. 1 second. 2. Then answered. There have been multiple withdrawals over the past 18 months, he said. My eyes stayed on him. How many? I asked. He scrolled. The mouse clicked softly. 32 transactions, he said. 32. That was not random. That was a pattern. Structured. Repeated. I leaned forward slightly. Total amount? I asked. He paused again. Looked at the screen. Then back at me. $87,000, he said. The number landed clean. Exact. No rounding. No guesswork. I nodded once. That confirmed it. I had suspected it the moment the travel agent spoke. This was not about convenience. This was funding. I had seen this before. In 2007, I worked with a colleague named Sandra Mills. She handled corporate audits. One case involved small withdrawals. $2,300 here. $1,800 there. Spread over 14 months. Nobody noticed. Until we mapped it. The pattern formed a straight line. Sandra had leaned over my desk and said, Daniel, theft is never loud. It is patient. I remembered the smell of her peppermint gum. Sharp. Clean. It stayed with me longer than the case did. I straightened up and looked at the young man again. Who authorized these withdrawals? I asked. He clicked again. Opened another window. His expression shifted. This time it was clearer. Concern. All transactions were signed digitally by Ryan Harper, he said. I closed my eyes for a brief moment. Not long. Just enough. I opened them again. Focused. This was not an accident. This was not shared misunderstanding. This was deliberate. Planned. Repeated 32 times. I spoke again. Calm. Even. Print the full transaction history. All 18 months, I said. He nodded quickly. Yes, sir, he replied. The printer behind him started running again. Louder this time. Paper feeding through. Each page a record. Each line a decision. I stood there while it printed. I did not move. I analyzed what I knew. Lily was excluded. That was emotional. The money confirmed intent. That was structural. This was not a single act. It was a system, built slowly, hidden in routine. That changed everything. The problem was no longer the trip. The problem was the foundation beneath it. The printer stopped after 47 pages. He gathered them carefully and handed them to me. Here you go, Mr. Harper, he said. I took the stack. The paper felt warm from the machine. Fresh ink smell. I flipped to the first page. Dates. Amounts. Regular intervals. Every 21 days. Consistent. Predictable. That was the design. I turned to the last page. The most recent transaction. 3 days ago. $6,500. Final payment. I thanked the young man and turned to leave. My phone vibrated in my pocket before I reached the door. One notification. Then another. I stopped walking. I pulled it out slowly. The screen lit up, bright against the dim bank interior. It was an automated alert from the account. I opened it. The message was short, direct. Transaction completed. $6,500 transferred to Oceanic Luxury Cruises. Timestamp. June 11th, 7:42 p.m. Authorized by Ryan Harper. I pushed the glass door open and stepped into the parking lot at 9:03 a.m. The heat hit immediately, dry and sharp against my face. I stood there for a moment with the papers in my hand. 47 pages. Each one precise. Each one final. I walked to my car and placed the stack on the passenger seat. I did not start the engine right away. I looked at the last page again. June 11th, 7:42 p.m. $6,500. Final payment. Completed. That meant the trip was locked. No refunds. No reversals. I knew that system. I had audited travel contracts in 2015. Non-refundable after 72 hours. Absolute. I started the car at 9:05 a.m. The engine turned over smoothly. I backed out of spot 14 and pulled onto the main road. I did not go home. I turned left instead, toward downtown. The lawyer's office was 4.8 miles away. I had not been there in 11 months. Not since the last estate review. The traffic moved slowly. Morning congestion. I kept both hands on the wheel. 10 and 2. Old habit. My mind worked through the numbers again. 32 transactions. $87,000. Every 21 days. That was not random spending. That was planning. Structured removal. I reached the office building at 9:18 a.m. Brick exterior. 3 floors. The sign read Prescott Legal Group. The parking lot smelled faintly of oil and warm concrete. I stepped out and felt the sun on my shoulders. Stronger now. I walked inside. The lobby was quiet. Cool air. Soft carpet under my shoes. There was a faint scent of lemon cleaner. Clean. Controlled. I approached the reception desk. A woman looked up from her computer. Mid-40s. Glasses. Focused eyes. Good morning, Mr. Harper, she said. Do you have an appointment? I shook my head once. No. I need to see Lillian Prescott. Today, I said. She paused. Checked the schedule. Then picked up the phone. Miss Prescott, Mr. Harper is here. No appointment, she said. Silence on the line. Then she nodded slightly. You can go in, she told me. I walked down the hallway. The walls were lined with framed certifications. Degrees. Years. Proof of authority. I reached her office and knocked once. Come in, Lillian said. I opened the door and stepped inside. The room smelled like coffee. Fresh. Strong. She sat behind her desk. Late 50s. Sharp posture. Nothing about her had softened over time. Daniel, she said. You look like you have already made a decision. I placed the stack of papers on her desk. I have, I said. She did not touch the papers immediately. She looked at me first. Measuring. Tell me, she said. I spoke clearly. Direct. I want to restructure the trust. Effective immediately, I said. She leaned back slightly. That is a significant move, she replied. What changed? I did not hesitate. Misuse of funds. $87,000. 18 months. Patterned withdrawals, I said. She reached for the papers then. Flipped through the first few pages. Her eyes moved quickly. Experienced. And the beneficiary? She asked. I held her gaze. Lily, I said. She stopped turning pages. Just for a second. Your granddaughter, she said. Yes, I replied. She nodded once. No surprise. Just acknowledgement. And Ryan? She asked. I exhaled slowly. Controlled. Remove all access. All current and future distributions, I said. She tapped her pen lightly against the desk. Once. Twice. This will not be reversible once executed, she said. I understand, I replied. She studied me for another second. Are you certain? She asked. I felt the weight of the question. Not emotional. Structural. This was the point where everything divided. Before and after, I thought about Lily sitting on that floor, drawing herself outside the boat. I thought about the number 32. Repeated. Intentional. I thought about the word easier. I had analyzed enough data in my life to recognize a system when I saw one. This was not a mistake. This was a design. My role was no longer to observe. It was to act. I spoke again. Calm. Final. Yes, I said. She turned to her computer and began typing. The keyboard clicks filled the room. Steady. Precise. We will need to transfer the full $2.3 million trust into a protected account under Lily's name, she said. There will be conditions until she turns 18. I nodded once. Do it, I said. She printed the documents within 3 minutes. 4 pages this time. Clean. White. Final. She slid them across the desk toward me. Read carefully, she said. I looked down at the pages. Legal language. Exact wording. No ambiguity. I picked up the pen she offered. Black ink. Medium weight. I signed the first page. Then the second. Then the third. My hand did not shake. The 4th page required initials. I added them. LPDH date. Time. 9:27 a.m. I placed the pen down on the desk and pushed the documents back toward her without looking up. In 2012, I first met Melissa Harper at a small restaurant on Oak Street. The place smelled like grilled salmon and lemon butter. She shook my hand and smiled too quickly. Her eyes moved around the room, measuring everything. I noticed that even then. I stepped out of Prescott Legal Group at 9:41 a.m. The sun was higher now, stronger. The air felt sharper against my face. I walked across the parking lot without slowing down. My shoes tapped against the pavement. Steady rhythm. I got into my car and closed the door. The interior held the heat. It wrapped around me for a second before the air conditioning kicked in. I started the engine and pulled out at 9:43 a.m. I did not go home. Not yet. I drove 1.7 miles to a small cafe on 3rd Avenue, a place I used to visit with my wife in 2008. The sign still hung crooked above the door. Same as before. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. A bell rang softly above me. The smell hit immediately. Fresh coffee. Toasted bread. Something sweet. Cinnamon maybe. The room was dim compared to outside. Warm light from hanging bulbs. I could hear low music playing. Jazz. Slow tempo. I walked to the counter and ordered without thinking. Black coffee. Large, I said. The barista nodded. That will be $3.75, she replied. I paid and moved to a table near the window. The chair felt solid. Familiar. I placed my phone on the table and sat still for a moment. The coffee arrived 2 minutes later. Steam rose from the cup. I wrapped my hands around it. The heat grounded me. I took one sip. Bitter. Clean. I needed that. I looked out the window. Cars passed slowly. People moved along the sidewalk. Normal life. Unaffected. I thought about Melissa again. 12 years. That was how long she had been in this family. Since 2012. I remembered the shift. March 2023. That was when things changed. Ryan mentioned her job loss. Marketing firm downsizing. $38,000 in credit card debt. He said it casually, like it was temporary. I did not respond then. I should have. That was the trigger. Pressure builds quietly. Then it looks for structure. Money was not enough. She wanted control. Image. A version of family that fit her world. Lily did not fit that version. I saw that clearly now. This was not about a vacation. This was about removal. Systematic. Clean. I sat there and analyzed the situation. Lily had already been separated emotionally. The trip was confirmation. The money showed planning. 18 months. 32 transactions. That meant intent. That meant repetition. That meant choice. My role had shifted. I was no longer observing a pattern. I had interrupted it. Permanently. That would trigger a response. Ryan would notice first. He always handled the accounts. Melissa would react second. She controlled the narrative. I needed to be ready for both. My phone sat silent on the table for exactly 6 minutes. I checked the time. 9:52 a.m. I took another sip of coffee. Slower this time. I let the bitterness settle. The door behind me opened again. I heard footsteps. Quick. Direct. I did not turn immediately. I did not need to. I already knew who it was. The chair across from me pulled back sharply. What did you do, Dad? Ryan asked. In 2016, my wife Eleanor stood in our kitchen at 6:10 p.m. The room smelled like roasted chicken and thyme. She looked at me and said, Family is what you protect when it becomes inconvenient. I did not understand it fully then. I do now. I did not answer Ryan immediately in the cafe. I picked up my coffee and took one slow sip. The bitterness had cooled. The chair across from me scraped loudly against the floor. He leaned forward. His voice was tight, controlled. Dad, I am asking you again. What did you do? I set the cup down carefully. No rush. No wasted motion. Sit down, Ryan, I said. He did not move for 2 seconds. Then he sat. Hard. The table shook slightly. The coffee rippled. You froze the account, he said. I just got the alert at 9:48 a.m. I nodded once. Correct, I replied. His jaw tightened. I could see the tension in his neck. You cannot just do that, he said. That money was allocated. I looked at him steadily. It was misused, I said. He exhaled sharply. Frustration. Not surprise. It was for the trip, he said. We needed to finalize the booking. I leaned back slightly in my chair. The wood creaked under my weight. $87,000 does not finalize a booking, I said. He looked away for a moment. Then back at me. It was spread out, he said. We planned it. Planned. The word sat there between us. I let it stay. You planned it over 18 months, I said. 32 transactions. Every 21 days. He did not respond right away. That silence mattered. I watched him carefully. His eyes shifted. Not guilt. Calculation. You are overanalyzing this, he said. It is just money. I shook my head once. Slow. No, I said. It is not just money. The cafe door opened behind us. A bell rang. Someone laughed near the counter. Normal sounds. Irrelevant. I focused on him. Where is Lily in this plan? I asked. He hesitated again. Longer this time. 3 seconds. She is staying with you, he said. Same words Melissa used. Identical. That confirmed alignment. I felt something settle deeper inside me. Not anger. Finality. Why? I asked. He leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms. Defensive posture. It is complicated, he said. I waited. Did not interrupt. He sighed. Melissa thinks it is better this way, he added. I nodded once. Melissa thinks, I repeated. He frowned slightly. Do not make this about her, he said. I held his gaze. It already is, I replied. The air between us shifted. Subtle but clear. He looked down at the table. Then back at me. We will fix it, he said. After the trip. I did not respond immediately. I let the statement sit. I analyzed it. Future tense. No current correction. That meant Lily remained excluded. Intentionally. I leaned forward slightly. No, I said. You will not. His eyes narrowed. What does that mean, he asked. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the printed documents. I placed them on the table between us. He looked at them. Then at me. What is this, he asked. Transaction history, I said. All 18 months. He picked up the top page. His eyes moved quickly, faster than before. He understood numbers. He always had. This does not prove anything, he said. His voice was lower now. Controlled again. It proves pattern, I replied. Pattern proves intent. He dropped the pages back onto the table. You cannot just cut me off, he said. I tilted my head slightly. I already did, I said. He stared at me. Silence stretched for 5 seconds. I could hear the espresso machine behind the counter. Steam releasing. Sharp sound. What about the trust? He asked finally. There it was. The real question. I answered without hesitation. Reassigned, I said. His expression changed immediately. That was the first real reaction. To who? He asked. I looked at him steadily. Lily, I said. He leaned back again. Harder this time. The chair legs scraped loudly. People at the next table glanced over. You cannot be serious, he said. I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. I am, I said. He ran his hand through his hair. Frustration building. She is 8 years old, he said. Exactly, I replied. That ended that line of argument. He looked at me for a long moment, trying to find leverage. There was none left. I had removed it. Completely. I felt the shift clearly now. The structure had changed. Permanently. He stood up abruptly. The chair tipped slightly before settling back. This is not over, he said. I did not respond. He turned and walked toward the door. Fast steps. Sharp movements. The bell rang again as he pushed it open. I sat there for another 12 seconds after he left. The coffee had gone cold. I did not touch it again. I knew what came next. Melissa would not wait. She would act faster than Ryan. She always did. My phone vibrated once on the table at 10:06 a.m. I looked down at the screen. One message. Unknown number. I opened it. The text was short, direct. You think moving $2.3 million fixes this? You have no idea what you just started. In 2004, my friend Marcus Hale sat across from me in a dim bar. The place smelled like old wood and whiskey. He told me, Daniel, when someone shows you the system, believe it. I left the cafe at 10:14 a.m. The sun felt hotter now, the air heavier. I drove 3.2 miles back toward Ryan's neighborhood. Not his house. The park across the street. I parked near the far corner at 10:21 a.m. The engine clicked as it cooled. I stepped out and walked toward the playground. The smell of cut grass filled the air. Fresh. Sharp. Children's voices carried across the space. High. Unfiltered. Swings creaked rhythmically. Chains moving back and forth. I sat on a bench facing the street. Ryan's house sat 47 yards away. Same white exterior. Same closed blinds. I waited. My phone showed 10:24 a.m. I knew Melissa would return soon. She always moved quickly after conflict. Control required speed. I watched the driveway. A black SUV turned the corner at 10:27 a.m. It slowed. Pulled in. That was her. I stood up slowly and walked along the sidewalk. Not toward the house. Past it. I kept moving until I reached the side yard. There was a narrow path between the houses. 12 feet wide. Gravel under my shoes. I stopped near the fence. Close enough to hear. Not visible from the front. The kitchen window was open. 2 inches. That was enough. I heard her voice first. Sharp. Fast. I told you he would notice, Melissa said. There was a pause. Then Ryan answered. Lower. Frustrated. You said we had time, he replied. I stayed still. My breath controlled. I did not move. We did, Melissa said. Until you got careless with the last transfer. Her voice dropped slightly. Controlled again. $6,500 3 days ago was too obvious. I felt the number settle again. Confirmation. We needed to finish the payment, Ryan said. The cruise company gave us a 72-hour window. Silence for 1 second. Then Melissa spoke again. This was never about the cruise, she said. That line stayed with me. Clear. Direct. I leaned slightly closer to the fence. Gravel shifted under my shoe. Soft sound. They did not notice. We had to separate her. Melissa continued. You cannot build the image we need with her there. Image. There it was. Not money. Not convenience. Identity. She does not fit, Melissa said. Not with my clients. Not with the people I am trying to get back in with. I felt something shift inside me. Not surprise. Confirmation. This was always about status. March 2023. $38,000 in debt. She lost her job. She needed to rebuild. Not financially. Socially. Once the trust transfers to you, we fix everything, she said. We move. New house. New circle. Clean start. I closed my eyes for a brief second. That was the plan. Full transfer. Control. Removal. And Lily? Ryan asked quietly. There was a pause. Longer this time. Then Melissa answered. Flat. Certain. She stays where she is, she said. He can keep her. The words landed clean. No hesitation. No doubt. I opened my eyes again. Focused. I had heard enough. More than enough. The system was complete now. Every piece aligned. Pattern. Motive. Outcome. I stepped back from the fence slowly. Careful not to make noise. Gravel shifted again under my foot. I turned and walked back toward the street. The playground sounds returned. Swings. Laughter. Normal life continued. I stopped at my car and looked across at the house one more time. Nothing had changed from the outside. Everything had changed inside. I understood the full structure now. 18 months of preparation. $87,000 removed. One child erased from the narrative. This was not neglect. This was design. I sat in the driver's seat and closed the door. The interior felt quiet. Isolated. I placed my hands on the steering wheel again. Same position. 10 and 2. I thought through the next step. The decision was already made. The execution was immediate. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out my phone. I opened the contact list. Lillian Prescott. I pressed the call button and lifted the phone to my ear. In 2019, my daughter Emily stood beside me at a hospital window. The room smelled like antiseptic and plastic. She said, Dad, sometimes silence is just a decision you have not challenged yet. I remembered that now. I drove away from the park at 10:31 a.m. The call to Lillian was still active. Her voice came through clearly. Daniel, I have already processed the documents, she said. I kept my eyes on the road. I need one more step, I replied. Lock all secondary access. Remove any override permissions. She paused for 1 second, then answered. That includes Ryan's emergency authority, she said. Yes, I said. She exhaled softly. That will finalize everything. No reversal without Lily's consent after 18, she said. Understood, I replied. I ended the call at 10:33 a.m. The road ahead stretched straight for half a mile. I turned right toward my house. The distance was 2.6 miles. The drive felt shorter than usual. My mind was already ahead of me. I pulled into my driveway at 10:38 a.m. The house sat quiet. Still, the front door was closed. I stepped out and walked up the path. The air smelled faintly of pine from the trees along the street. A breeze moved through the leaves. Soft sound. Consistent. I opened the door and stepped inside. The temperature was cooler. Controlled. The faint scent of lavender cleaner lingered in the hallway. I set my keys down on the table by the door. The sound echoed slightly. The house felt larger than usual. Empty space carries sound differently. I walked into the living room. Lily sat on the couch, her legs tucked under her. A book rested in her lap. She looked up when I entered. Grandpa, you came back fast, she said. I nodded once. I had something to finish, I replied. I moved closer and sat in the chair across from her. The fabric felt firm, familiar. She watched me carefully, observing. Are they still going? She asked. Her voice was steady, too steady for an 8-year-old. I did not answer immediately. I measured the moment. Truth required precision. Yes, I said. She nodded once. No tears. No visible reaction. That told me more than anything else. She had already adjusted. Alone. That mattered. I leaned forward slightly. But things are different now, I added. She tilted her head. Different how? She asked. I held her gaze. You are not outside anything anymore, I said. She did not respond right away. She processed. I could see it. Small shifts in her expression. Understanding building slowly. Does that mean I have to go with them? She asked. I shook my head once. No, I said. It means you choose where you belong. She looked down at her book, then back at me. I choose here, she said. The words were simple, direct. I felt something settle again. Not relief. Confirmation. I stood up and walked toward the kitchen. I needed space to think. The refrigerator hummed softly. Constant background noise. I poured a glass of water and set it on the counter. My reflection stared back from the stainless steel surface. Older than I remembered. More defined. I thought through the situation again. The system had been exposed. The leverage had shifted. Ryan and Melissa no longer controlled the financial structure. That meant their next move would not be financial. It would be narrative, reputation, pressure. I had seen this pattern before. When control is removed, influence becomes the tool. I turned back toward the living room. Lily had not moved. She was still watching me, waiting. I understood what that meant. She was measuring me now, not them. That changed the entire structure. The center of this situation was no longer the conflict between adults. It was her choice, her alignment. That realization shifted everything. Completely. The doorbell rang at 10:46 a.m. sharp. Immediate. I walked toward the front door without rushing. I already knew who it was. I opened it. Melissa stood there. Her posture was rigid, controlled. Ryan stood half a step behind her, silent, watching. She did not wait for an invitation. We need to talk, she said. In 2011, my colleague Robert Klein stood beside me in a conference room. The air smelled like dry markers and stale coffee. He said, pressure does not reveal character. It exposes what was already there. I stepped aside from the doorway at 10:47 a.m. I did not let them enter fully. I walked past them toward the back patio instead. The sliding door opened with a soft click. Warm air moved in immediately. The patio smelled like sun-heated wood and faint chlorine from the neighbor's pool. The light was stronger here. Direct. I stepped onto the deck. They followed behind me. The door closed with a dull sound. Final. Ryan stood to my left. Melissa stayed directly in front of me. Her posture was straight, controlled. You went too far, she said. I rested my hand on the railing. The wood felt warm under my palm. No, I replied. I corrected the structure. Ryan exhaled sharply. You locked everything, he said. We cannot access a single dollar. I nodded once. That is accurate, I said. Melissa stepped forward half a step. Her voice lowered. Sharper now. That was not your decision to make alone, she said. I met her gaze. Steady. It was my responsibility, I said. She laughed once. Short. Controlled. Responsibility does not give you control over our life, she said. I did not react to the tone. Only the content. $87,000 over 18 months, I said. That is control. Ryan shifted beside her. Uncomfortable. We were going to fix it, he said. After the trip. I shook my head once. You already fixed it, I said. You removed Lily. Silence followed. 3 seconds. Heavy. Melissa broke it first. She was never part of the plan, she said. Her voice did not rise. It narrowed. Focused. I felt the statement land clean. No ambiguity. That is clear, I replied. Ryan looked at her quickly, then back at me. You are twisting this, he said. I kept my voice even. No, I said. I am aligning it. Melissa crossed her arms. Defensive. Calculated. You think giving her $2.3 million solves anything, she said. You just created a liability. I tilted my head slightly. Explain, I said. She stepped closer. 1 foot forward. Controlled movement. At 18, she controls everything, she said. That is 10 years from now. You are 77 then. You will not be able to manage it. I considered the statement. Not emotionally. Structurally. She was projecting risk. Not concern. That is her decision to make, I said. Ryan ran his hand across his face. Frustration building. Dad, we needed that support, he said. $45,000 a year. That covered the mortgage buffer. I nodded once. You adjusted your structure based on external funds, I said. That is not stability. Melissa shook her head. Slight movement. Dismissive. You do not understand how this works now, she said. Image matters. Network matters. I held her gaze. You lost your position in March 2023, I said. $38,000 in debt. You are rebuilding access. Her eyes tightened. Small reaction. That was confirmation. And you think excluding an 8-year-old fixes that? I added. She did not answer immediately. Then she spoke. Flat. Certain. Yes, she said. The words sat between us. Clear. Final. Ryan looked down briefly. Then back at me. We can still fix this, he said. Reverse the trust. Restore access. I did not respond right away. I let the silence hold. I measured the structure again. They were not negotiating. They were attempting to regain leverage. That was no longer available. I straightened slightly and stepped back from the railing. The sun hit my face directly. Warm. Unfiltered. I understood the full picture now. Not just the financial pattern. Not just the emotional exclusion. The core had shifted. This was no longer about them trying to remove Lily. It was about them needing to remove me as the controlling variable. That realization locked everything into place. Completely. I turned and walked toward the sliding door. I did not look back at them. I reached for the handle and pulled it open. The cool air from inside met the heat outside. Sharp contrast. I stepped back into the house and closed the door behind me. In 2013, my neighbor Carl Benson stood beside me at a backyard fence. The air smelled like charcoal and lighter fluid. He told me, Daniel, some people do not want fairness. They want advantage. I walked out of the house at 10:52 a.m. I did not look back at the patio. I did not check if they followed. I crossed the driveway and got into my car again. The engine started at 10:53 a.m. The sound felt louder than usual. I pulled away slowly and turned toward the main road. I needed distance. Physical and structural. I drove 5.1 miles toward the elementary school. The same school Lily attended. The parking lot was half full. Midday traffic. Parents coming and going. I parked in spot number 22 near the side entrance. I stepped out and felt the heat again. Stronger now. The asphalt radiated upward. The school building stood quiet. Brick walls. White trim. The faint smell of cafeteria food drifted through the open side door. Processed cheese. Bread. I walked inside. The hallway echoed slightly. Children's voices carried from distant classrooms. Soft. Controlled. I stopped near the office window. The secretary looked up. Can I help you? She asked. I am here to check on Lily Harper, I said. She typed quickly. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. She is in class until 11:30 a.m., she replied. I nodded once. I will wait, I said. I stepped back and leaned against the wall. The paint felt cool through my shirt. The hallway smelled faintly of disinfectant and paper. Clean. Structured. I stood there for 6 minutes without moving. My phone remained silent. No messages. No calls. That meant something. I analyzed the pattern again. Melissa had already escalated once. The message at 10:06 a.m. direct. Aggressive. Now silence. That was not retreat. That was recalculation. Ryan had stayed quiet too. That was different. He usually responded quickly. Emotional. Reactive. This time he did not. That meant he was aligning with her. Fully. I understood that now. This was no longer two separate behaviors. It was one coordinated system. I pushed myself off the wall and walked toward the glass door leading outside. I needed air. The playground sat empty at this hour. Swings still. Slides untouched. The metal reflected the sunlight sharply. Bright. I stepped onto the concrete and felt the heat through my shoes. The air smelled like warm plastic and dust. I stood there and looked at the empty space. I thought about Lily again. 8 years old. Already adjusting to exclusion. Already choosing stability over reaction. That mattered more than anything else. I thought about Ryan. 38 years old. 12 years of marriage. 18 months of structured withdrawal. That pattern did not appear overnight. It was built. Reinforced. Accepted. I realized something then. This was not a sudden betrayal. It was a gradual alignment. He had chosen that direction long before the money started moving. The financial pattern was only the visible layer. The real shift happened earlier. Quietly. Internally. I walked back toward the building and stopped near the entrance. The glass reflected my image again. Same posture. Same stillness. Different understanding. I no longer saw this as a conflict to resolve. I saw it as a system already completed. There was no negotiation left. No correction phase. Only consequence. I turned slightly and looked down the hallway again. I could hear footsteps now. Children moving between classes. The day continuing. I understood something clearly in that moment. I had not taken something away from them. I had revealed what they had already removed from themselves, and that changed the entire structure of what came next. In 2001, my brother Michael stood beside me on a quiet pier at dusk. The air smelled like salt and damp wood. He said, "You do not measure family by who stays. You measure it by who chooses to." I stood outside the school at 11:34 a.m. The bell had just rung. Children filled the walkway in waves. Backpacks. Voices. Movement everywhere. The air carried the smell of sunscreen and pavement. Warm and sharp. I waited near the edge of the lot. Not in the center. Not visible immediately. Lily walked out at 11:36 a.m. She moved slower than the others. Careful steps. Observing everything. She spotted me after 5 seconds. Her pace did not change. That told me everything. She was steady. Not searching. Not uncertain. She walked straight toward me. "You came early," she said. I nodded once. "I wanted to," I replied. She looked at my face for a moment. Measuring. "Are they still going?" she asked again. Same question. Different weight now. "Yes," I said. She nodded once. Then looked toward the street. Cars passing. Normal life continuing. "Okay," she said. Just that. No added words. I took her backpack from her shoulder. It felt light. Too light for an 8-year-old. "Do you want lunch?" I asked. She thought for 2 seconds. "Can we get pancakes?" she said. I almost smiled. "Yes," I replied. We walked back to the car together. The distance was 48 feet. I counted it without thinking. Habit. I opened the passenger door for her. She climbed in and buckled her seatbelt without being asked. I closed the door gently and walked around to the driver's side. The engine started at 11:39 a.m. I pulled out of the lot slowly. The road ahead was clear. We drove 1.9 miles to a small diner on Elm Street. The same place I had taken Ryan when he was her age. The sign outside flickered slightly. Red and white. Familiar. I parked near the front window. The smell hit as soon as we stepped inside. Syrup. Coffee. Grilled batter. Warm. The air felt thicker here. Comforting. The sound of plates and low conversation filled the space. We sat in a booth near the back. The vinyl seat was slightly cracked. Worn from years of use. A waitress approached. Mid-50s. Calm smile. "What can I get for you two?" she asked. Lily looked at me. Then back at her. "Pancakes. With strawberries," she said. The waitress nodded. "3 pancakes or 2?" she asked. "3," Lily replied. I ordered coffee. Black. The waitress wrote it down and walked away. We sat in silence for a moment. Not uncomfortable. Just present. Lily traced a small circle. On the table with her finger. Slow. Repeating motion. Grandpa, she said after a few seconds. Am I staying with you now? I looked at her. Direct. Yes, I said. She nodded once. That was enough for her. No further questions. No hesitation. That simplicity carried weight. I thought about everything that had happened in the last 3 hours. From 8:06 a.m. to now. 3 hours and 33 minutes. Enough time to dismantle a system built over 18 months. That was the difference between preparation and execution. I understood that clearly now. I had not reacted emotionally. I had followed structure, pattern, sequence that made the outcome stable, permanent. Lily did not need explanation. She needed consistency. That was my role now. Not correction, not repair. Stability. The pancakes arrived at 11:52 a.m. steam rising. Sweet smell. Lily smiled slightly. Small movement. Real. These look good, she said. They are, I replied. She picked up her fork and started eating. Slow. Focused. I watched her for a moment. Not analyzing. Just observing. That was different. I had spent years reading numbers. Patterns. Systems. Now I was watching something simpler. A choice. Made without pressure. Without calculation. That mattered more than anything else. I took a sip of coffee. The bitterness felt lighter now. The weight had shifted. Completely. I thought about Ryan again. About Melissa. About the structure they had built. It would continue without me. Without access. Without control. That was their path. This was mine. I did not feel anger. I did not feel loss. I felt clarity. That was enough. The waitress returned after a few minutes. She looked at Lily's plate. Already half empty. Hungry today? She asked with a smile. Lily nodded slightly, then looked up at her. Calm. Certain. Yeah, she said. I am eating with my family today. People do not reveal their values when things are easy. They reveal them when choices become inconvenient. Blood creates connection. Choice creates meaning. And in the end, the people who stand beside you are not the ones you expected, but the ones who decided you were worth staying for.